This world can be cold and bitter. Feels like we're in the dead of winter, waiting on something better. But am I really gonna hide forever? Over and over again, I hear your voice in my head. Let your light shine, let your light shine for all to see. Start a fire in my soul, fan the flame and make it grow. So there's no doubt or denying. Let it burn so brightly that everyone around can see that it's you that we need. Start a fire in me. You only need a spark to start a whole blaze. It only takes a little faith. Let it start right here in this city, so these old walls will never be the same. Over and over again, I hear your voice in my head. They need to know, I need to go. Spirit, won't you fall on my heart now? Start a fire in my soul, fan the flame and make it grow. So there's no doubt or denying. Let it burn so brightly that everyone around can see that it's you that we need. Start a fire in me. You are the fire, you are the flame, you are the light on the darkest day. We have the hope, we bear your name, we carry the news that you have come to save. Only you can save. Start a fire in my soul, fan the flame and make it grow. So there's no doubt or denying. Let it burn so brightly that everyone around can see that it's you that we need. Start a fire in me. Start a fire in me.
Mercy, noun. Compassion or forgiveness shown towards someone whom it is within one's power to punish or harm. That is the definition, according to Google, for mercy. Recently, Pastor Amy had our whole confirmation class take a quiz on the results, which were the spiritual gifts that we might have had, and my top result was mercy. I haven't really thought of myself as a very merciful person, but I kind of thought about it, and I guess I kind of am. The one mercy trait is not having revenge, and in sports I like having revenge, but other than that, I'm pretty good at not getting revenge. But then many people think mercy and grace are the same thing, but it's not really that simple. The grace is forgiving someone who's done something wrong to you, but mercy is just forgiving someone no matter what the situation is. I feel that kind of is more close to me. One of the greatest mercy stories in the Bible is the Good Samaritan. This is one of my favorite Bible stories because it's really simple, but it's really strong message. And of course, God is the most merciful person, and I feel like that's a really strong connection between me and God, being mercy. So, thanks.
Hi, I'm Haley Olson. My faith journey began with my baptism on November 18, 2001 at First United Methodist Church in Berthoud. The people who have had the biggest impact on my faith are my grandparents and my mom. They were the ones who first started to take me to church. My favorite youth leaders have been Lucas and Pastor Amy. Hearing them talk about their lives has encouraged me to learn more about God, Jesus, and my faith. Some of my favorite church memories have occurred at the church camp Face Plant. During those trips, I have grown closer to God and become more experienced in my faith. My favorite Bible verse is Philippians 4:13, which reads, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. This verse means a lot to me because it lets me know that Christ will be there for me when no one else is. It tells me that he will give me strength when I believe I have none. My faith has begun wonderfully, and I hope it continues just as it has started.
Hi, my name is Jacob Lettieri, and my journey began back in 2000 whenever I got baptized with my mom, grandma, both of my uncles, my grandparents, and my dad. My pastor, Bruce, baptized me. One of my supporters, my mom, motivates me to go to confirmation meetings. She makes absolute sure that confirmation comes first before I do anything fun. My grandma definitely has had the biggest impact on my faith because every Wednesday after school she takes me home from school. We do the confirmation homework and then she teaches me about her favorite verses in the Bible. God's grace has been shown to me when my dog died last year. It was a really rough time. He loves me always. I believe that the Sabbath is an important part of all of our journeys. Some of my spiritual gifts are administration, craftsmanship, sharing, and helping others. I believe that I can use craftsmanship in the church as doing something that has been broken or that I can help fix it. One of my favorite verses in the Bible is Jeremiah 29, verse 11. It reads, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you a hope and a future." This means that God always has plans for all of us. This verse is my favorite verse because I believe that God has a plan for all of us that fits us all into a puzzle like pieces. I am anxious to continue my faith throughout all of my upcoming years.
Okay. For those who don't know me, I'm Catherine Matheson. For those who do know me, hello again. My faith journey began with my baptism. I was baptized on October 14th, 2001 at Longs Peak United Methodist Church by Pastor Steve Creel. He mentioned during the baptism that he didn't want to put me down because I was one of the most calmest babies who didn't squirm or fuss when I was released from my mother's arms. My sponsors are my Aunt Bunny and Uncle Dave Traxinger. An experience that most impacted my faith was this past cross-country season. This season, I was nominated captain for the team. I have been running cross-country since 6th grade, and I've fallen in love with it. I started track in 7th grade as a track team needed a mile and 800 runner. It was God's decision to make me a runner. During my last year of cross-country, I had many experiences with God. But one that impacts me the most is districts race. Our coach called us in for a meeting. I was running up and I stepped funny and heard my ankle go pop. I fell to the ground and I couldn't get back up. At that moment, I was so mad at myself. I thought it was God's fault, but honestly, it was Him who gave me the strength to heal and prepare to run state and nationals. He wanted me to run. I know that because the day came for me to make my decision and run, and a little voice in my head was telling me, "Run these races, Catherine. You can do it. This is your chance to shine." I ended up taking the chance and having so much fun. I tried my hardest and finished strong at state and nationals, and God was there for me every running step of the way. He is and always will be there for me. A favorite youth leaders are Lucas because he's fun and makes me laugh while showing me compassion, and Pastor Amy, our 8th grade confirmation teacher, because she has the patience with us crazy, rowdy 8th graders and a passion to pray for each one of us. A church memory that I have is Faceplant 2015. It was so fun. I learned a lot, made more friends, and not to mention, came closer to friends and God. We ate great food like churros and lots of bacon. We also played the most awesome game ever. That's right, for those who came, Conquest. For those who didn't come, for those who don't know what it is, it's pretty much a huge, and I mean huge, capture the flag game with 10 flags and 4 to 6 teams. Prayer has helped me a lot during my cross-country races. Every meet we went to, our coaches have us sprint at least 400 meters to the finish line. No matter how dead tired I am, I always sprint in. The reason is that I say a quick prayer in my head, telling God that I'm so close to being done, and to help me finish strong. I feel a strength inside of me, inside my body to surge and release everything that I have left to the finish line. I've seen God's grace everywhere, whether I'm on the track running up the mile, or in the field running a 2 mile, or on the road running a 3.2 mile. I see it everywhere. I even saw it when my grandfather in California passed away. He was the best. My mom and I were scheduled to go for a visit with my grandpa, but 5 days before we left, we got a call that he had died. You see, my grandpa's health was failing, and God took him home one sunny afternoon in his golf cart. God's grace was not letting him suffer, but to die peacefully. While I miss him, he is probably enjoying playing an 18-hole golf course in heaven. My favorite Bible verse is 1 Corinthians 9:24. I like this verse because it is about running, and I love to run. It states that we should all run in such way to get the prize. The prize is eternal life with our Lord. I think we should remember the Sabbath because it is a sacred and holy day. It is a day in which we devote our time to our God. Some spiritual gifts that I have are leadership and happiness. My plan to serve the church is to come to church every Sunday no matter how exhausted I am, and to use my leadership gift with the high school youth group. I will never stop believing in God because we all know that He loves every single one of us, and He has a spot up in heaven just for you and me. Thank you.
All right, my name is Dakota, and my faith journey began with my baptism. I cannot speak today. I was baptized at First Lutheran Church in Lamont on November 8, 2003, by Pastor Paul Justin. After I was baptized, he took me in his arms and carried me all over the sanctuary. I was only a couple of years old. My family, mother, father, and 2 brothers, AJ and Scott, were there, as well as my aunt and uncle and 3 cousins were there. My sponsors were my brothers and my Uncle Jeff and Aunt Dara. Everyone went out to eat afterwards. I also got some gifts: a Bible, a picture of Jesus, and a necklace that had a cross on it. I'm really shaky today. I felt very loved and cared for. My favorite Sunday school teacher when I was in pre-K was Jessica Ray Stratton. When I was a little older, I had a shepherd lady named Melissa Brakowski, who was very kind and nice to me. She is my Sunday school teacher this year. She and Jessica taught me and showed me Jesus' love. I have loved coming to church and learned more about God ever since. I have really enjoyed Vacation Bible School. My favorite one is Pandemonium. This last January, I went to Faith Plant with my friends. We had a lot of fun there. There's this game called Otterball that everyone loved playing. We played it every day. It was neat to meet new kids there from different churches. Prayer is a really important part of my life. I love talking to God. I always have several people that I pray for every day. When I was having surgery a couple of years ago, Pastor Dan had a circle of people lay their hands on me and pray for me. Then Mrs. Tolson took me and let me take out a prayer blanket. I remember holding that blanket when they put me to sleep and reminded me that many people were praying for me. I know God was there also watching over me. I have seen God's grace a lot of time in my life. One of the stories I read from the Bible is about the golden calf. When Moses went to the mountain to get the Ten Commandments, one of the people who was working for Satan kept trying to get the people away from God. So Aaron, Moses' brother, made a golden calf for the people to worship. When Moses came back down, he was really mad and broke the 10 Commandments. The ground shook, and the ground opened up and swallowed the golden calf and the people worshiping it. Aaron was saved by God's grace when he repented. I turn from God every day. And it was really great to know God is there when I tell him I was wrong. If someone asked me, what is your favorite Bible verse? I would tell them, well, it's John 3:16. I love this verse because it shows me to God and God to me. This is what my faith is built on. I know I'm saved by grace and faith. Pastor Dan told me one time when I asked him that exact question, we do it by faith, he said. I think we should remember the Sabbath because it's when God rested from his work. It is a time that I can be with God and learn more and more about him without being distracted with things around me. My talent that God gave me is art. I plan on using my art skills to make people happy on the insides. I want to go to the high school classes after confirmation because it tells me more and more about God and shows me a way I can serve him. I want to thank my family and other adults around me for helping me get to this point of my life. Without them, I wouldn't be here today. Thank you, and thanks be to God.
My name is Joshua Selby, and I'm a 9th grader who attends Smoky Hill High School. Ever since I was a baby, I've been surrounded by faith. When I was born, the pastor at the church we were attending showed up in a t-shirt, shorts, and a backwards cap. This earned him the name Hip Hop Pastor. Around the time I turned 3, we switched churches to one closer to us called Lord of the Hills. We're in constant attendance for the next 10 or so years. During this time, my faith grew exponentially as I spent time with Pastor Tom. Some of the other people who have been a great example of faith are my parents. When I was younger, I was always asking questions, and my parents would do their best to show me an answer in the Bible. Right before I turned 8, my grandpa died of cancer, and this experience drew me much closer to God. I was really close to my grandpa and still have very fond memories of him. A Bible verse that helped me through this time was Joshua 1:9. Have I not commanded you? Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged. For the Lord your God is with you wherever you go. This Bible verse has stuck with me ever since then and has become one of my favorites. One of the highlights of my faith was going up to Rainbow Trail one summer. I was inspired by the amount of faith I saw. As I spent the week up there, I grew in my faith. One of my favorite parts of camp was the Bible studies. We'd go into the forest and find a place to sit and do a Bible study in the middle of the woods. In conclusion, I've occasionally stumbled in my faith, but the people around me have always helped me get back on my feet. I'm thankful for my grandparents, aunts, uncles, sisters, and godparents who are great examples of faith and have always supported me.
Hello, my name is Brianna Collis. My faith journey begins with baptism. I was baptized at Bethlehem Lutheran Church by Pastor Mark Peterson. Me and my sister were both baptized on the same day. I was baptized during the spring of 2008, so when I was about 7 years old. A prayer helped me during a tough time, and in that time, things were rough and difficult for me. Praying made me stronger. It made me feel stronger, happy, and that I was not alone. I really think praying did help my situation. The problem eventually did get better for me. I have 3 spiritual gifts. Those gifts are faith, hospitality, and intercession. Faith is when you believe the promises of God, to trust, have confidence, and believe. Hospitality is when you care about others and provide fellowship. Finally, intercession is to plead on the behalf of somebody. One of my favorite Bible verses is, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me, in Phil 4:13. I have believed in God all my life, and I believe he does strengthen me. This is my favorite Bible verse because it tells you that you are not alone and God will always help you. I believe that faith is waking up in the morning and knowing that God is with you. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Dylan Bartels, and I'm here to tell you today about my faith journey. My faith journey began long before my baptism, which was actually just a week ago. Pastor Amy baptized me last week, and it is one of the defining moments of my life. My faith, we've been searching for a church for 2 years before we came to Faith Community a year ago. It was really hard time for me because I lost my connection to God and my faith began to weaken. But when I stepped into Faith Community, they opened their arms and took me in, and my faith began to grow again. And this year I was able to attend confirmation because last year sports prevented me from doing so. Again, this year, during the spring session of confirmation, sports have also stopped me again. But I feel like that without being here with all of my friends and the people around me, that I probably would have sunk somewhere deep, extremely deep. And I'd like to read my favorite verse right now because that has a great deal with it to do with it. I actually heard my favorite verse in a movie called God's Not Dead. It's Matthew 10, verses 32 through 33. It is this: "Whoever acknowledges me before man, I will also acknowledge him before my Father in heaven. But whoever disowns me before men, I will disown before my Father in heaven." I feel really close to that verse because in this day and age, a lot of people will say that, no, I am not a Christian, and therefore they are disowning God and the Father. And if you disown him in front of man, then he will disown you in front of the Father. And a man who has really impacted my life is Timmy Conrad. He's one of my wildlife leaders, and Wildlife is a nonprofit organization that helps spread God's message through middle school and high schools, kids that don't have the environment to learn about God and his message. And I met Timmy about a year and a half ago when Wildlife began to grow in Longmont. And it really helped in my faith because it was the turning point, really. I had just recently joined Faith Community, and I was still uncertain because I was still attached to my old church, even though we hadn't gone for like 2 years, because it was the atmosphere that I'd grown up in, and I knew nothing else in the way of Christ, so it was scary. And Timmy really helped me through that. And I think one of my fondest memories is campaigners and club that we do for Wildlife. Campaigners is like confirmation. I have a group of buddies, and we go sit down with Timmy, and we just talk about God and what we think, and we talk about different verses and stuff. And at clubs, we do all these crazy things. I learned not to volunteer, to not raise your hand when they say, okay, we need a few volunteers, because I ended up getting chocolate all over my face. It was not fun. And prayer confirmation has helped me begin to pray again. Prayer has brought me God's wisdom and guidance. And a time when prayer really helped me was when my appendix became inflamed. Last year, one day I began to have trouble breathing. My body ached and I couldn't get air into my lungs. I freaked out. I was like, what was going on? Why is this happening? How is this happening? What is going, like, all these different questions rushed through my head. And I was taken out of school on a wheelchair crying because my body hurt so much that I couldn't get air. And I got hooked up to all these different machines at the ER and got x-rays, and got an ultrasound and all that different stuff. And they said my appendix was inflamed and that I could get shots or go into surgery. And luckily, I did not have to go into surgery. I did not get the shots either. Kind of got needle phobia. Hate needles. Hate going to the doctor in general. And I prayed constantly, like, because what was this supposed to mean? What does your appendix do? Is it going to affect my life? Am I not going to be able to play sports again? How am I going to be able to go on if this majorly affects my life? And God just sat me down in my mind and just talked me through it. And it felt like God was not something that we have to believe in. I felt like he was sitting in the ER room next to me, holding my hand while I was in the bed. And I feel that from that experience, my faith grew, and I can't wait to see where God takes me and what he has for me next. Thank you.
My name is Brianna Rose Cordemosh, and my faith journey began May 5th, 2002. I was baptized by our very own Pastor Dan Hansen in the Fellowship Hall. One person who has had the biggest impact on my faith is my dad. He isn't the perfect role model, and he probably shouldn't have had the biggest impact on my faith, but he did. He taught me a million things that I needed to know. Maybe I didn't need to know them at the age I am, and he has showed me that providing for your family is crucial for the nourishment of your children. I wish I could say I learned these things by learning from the most perfect person I know, but instead, God gave me a life full of lessons to learn and skills to apply. In my life, I have seen the grace of God many times. The place where I am most thankful he exists is when I think about the grace he has given my mother. God gave my mom the power to raise two amazing children by herself, excluding the much appreciated help from Grandma, Grandpa, Uncle, and Aunt Tara. And I know his grace will continue on all of my family's journeys until their last days on earth. There are two people in my life who have made my journey as a child of God one to remember. My mom is the most amazing person, and I am so glad that God gave me the chance to say that. God has blessed my life in many ways, but most importantly, he blessed me with a mother who will never give up on me and who will always be my biggest fan. This amazing woman has managed to live her life and think of the glass as half full. My life would be tremendously different if I couldn't call this incredible woman Mom every day. The second person that deserves to be recognized is the sister I am so blessed to have. When Mommy wasn't there to save the day, I knew Reagan would be there in a flash. All our struggles have been things we came out of because we struggled together, and for that, I am eternally grateful. I can't begin to fathom just how many times God has helped me through prayer, but I can easily remember this one time when my grandfather had cancer and was on his last few breaths, spending each one with caution. My family and I prayed every second that there was a chance, except our prayer was a selfish one, hoping to keep him alive. And after recognizing this struggle to get even another lung full of air, we prayed to God that he do the right thing and stop this man from suffering. My grandfather died 3 days later. It was a tragedy, but only for the people he left behind. One of the opportunities I was blessed with this year was to go on a trip called Faceplant. This is a camp where no judgment is made and where being yourself is required. After partying at worship and jamming out to very loud music, I knew I'd fit right in. Little did I know that amazing food and capture the flag times 400 was ahead. We shared stories, danced around, played games, and spoke through the Lord himself, and for once in my life, I felt like I truly belonged where everyone else was. I got the chance to sit down and connect with God in my own way, and I will never forget the incredible people I got to know and love. I even got a nickname there. I know for sure that these experiences in my life will never stop, and I am so thankful for the life that God gave me. I plan to continue to come to church and serve in the community where I fit most. As a child of God, I speak with the utmost respect towards all the wonderful people who have blessed my life, and I would like to thank all of you for your time listening to me talk about how my faith grows every second. God bless you.
So, my mom always says, where there is a will, there is a way. She says that my arrival on this earth was nothing short of miraculous, and she could see that God at work the whole time. I should have died when I was born, but I didn't. She tells me that God, because of that, must specifically have a plan for my life. I was baptized at the Episcopal Church of the Good Shepherd in Bonita, California. I probably butchered that. California, on my maternal grandmother's birthday, December 10th, 2000, by Reverend George Calvert. Both sets of my grandparents were active members of Good Shepherd and serving on the vestry. Both of my grandmothers served on the search committee that brought Reverend Calvert to Good Shepherd in the first place. Wait. Where was I? Oh, yeah. My parents met at Good Shepherd during a children's Christmas pageant and were married there almost 3 years later. I would like to thank God for giving me the curiosity and ability to learn quickly from examples provided to me, because nobody is born good at anything, but I am thankful to God for allowing me to become skilled. I am thankful that God has blessed me with my family and that I have grandparents, parents, and brothers who both love me, each other, and God. Some of my friends have family members who are struggling with cancer, and I'm thankful that I and everyone I love are blessed with good health and lives filled with opportunity. My favorite Bible verse is John 11:35, Jesus wept. It may be the smallest verse in the Bible, but it shows that Jesus, even if he's about to bring someone back to life, can still weep over the death of one man. And if Jesus can care about just one of us, then he does have time to care about all of us. Things like faceplant and mission trips are my way of making life not all about me. I'm looking forward to things like painting the sign out front, possibly, and powder burn next year. I want to become God's hands and feet in the future by doing things like going on mission trips and spreading my faith. God bless you.
Hello, everybody. Now, I would tell you that my faith journey started when I was baptized by Pastor Dan Hansen with my 3 cousins on August 18, 2002. But that would be a complete lie. My faith journey really started the day I was born. I was born in early August, but wasn't due until late September. So being born nearly 2 months prematurely, the doctors were very worried that my lungs wouldn't work and that I would die. But with a few screams, it was determined that I was fine. Faith is a hard thing to have, and for a person like me, I need some proof before I put my faith in everlasting life, God, and heaven. But some people and events in my life have definitely shown me just how real God, Jesus, and all of his angels are. These people, such as Nanette Goings, Pastor Dan, and especially my sister Kaya, have been guiding me ever since I could walk and before. Honestly, without these people, I don't know if I'd be standing here, if I would believe, or if I would be saved. In Isaiah 48, it states, "The grass fades and the flowers fall, but the word of our God will stand forever." This speaks to me and is my favorite verse because people can leave and things will most certainly change. But I will always have God to fall back on. I remember when I first found out that my mother had cancer in 2011. Even though all is well now, at the time it felt like the end of the world. But I read this verse over and over, and I prayed. Another time when prayer helped me was back in January 2014. It was Friday, and I was so ready to be out of school for the weekend. My aunt picked me, my brother Kel, and I up from school. We later learned that my father Paul had gone into cardiac arrest while shoveling snow. The doctor told us that it was a very slim chance of him surviving, and if he did, he would never be the same. Basically, he told us to give up. To be completely honest, I almost did, until Pastor Dan came and prayed over him. Hours later, he woke up. At the hospital, they call him the miracle because he has made a full recovery with little to no brain damage. Without Pastor Dan, prayer, and God, I fear things would not have turned out as perfectly as they did. I'm very excited to be able to do more in the church community after confirmation. Ever since I started middle school, I've been assisting my mother in her Sunday school classes. However, this last year or so, I've been spending an hour each week in our church's nursery, and I'm currently working Thursday nights in the nursery. A huge supporter and inspirer of my faith is my sister Kaya. Her entire life, she has been strong and unwavering in her faith. She's the one who taught me to pray every day, night, and meal, to ask for forgiveness and to remember my blessings. I remember the day she was confirmed 6 years ago. I remember looking up at her and wishing I believed like she does, and being so jealous of her beautiful stolen white robe. Sometimes I still stare at her stolen cross that hang in our bedroom, and I can feel nothing but admiration. As sweet and lighthearted as this is, the time when she was asked to hide her faith is the most inspiring story to me. She had a very anti-religious teachers in her high school. When she wore her cross necklace at school, a teacher pulled her aside and suggested that she remove it to avoid discrimination from another teacher and other students. But Kaya did not remove or hide it. She didn't care how other people felt about her belief. She only cared that she wore something that gives her strength. To this day, she doesn't remove her cross for any reason, and certainly not for anyone. I get inspired by Bible verses, such as my favorite, Isaiah 48, Pastor Dan and Amy's sermons, and some of the songs we sing here in the sanctuary. But nothing and no one could have ever inspired me and given me as much strength in my faith like her. Thank you, Kaya. There are 2 things that I now know. 1, God and Jesus are real, and they have saved me, and I believe. 2, my faith journey will not end here. My faith journey will continue, not even pausing at death. And it is all due to the people of this church and my family. My name is Marielda Bennett, and I believe in the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. Thank you.